Okay, so to make this jumpsuit, I'm drafting the half length first, and I don't want this video to be long. I want it really short, so I have drafted my basic bodies just like we normally draft our basic bodies. I want the jumpsuit to be a little fitted at the waistline, so you can see my dart there, although I'm still going to close it. So this is what it looks like. You can just go ahead and use this to cut your back first before we modify it to form our cow neckline. So that being said, to form this cow neckline, what I'm going to do is to just slash it open on this chest line. This is my chest line. Okay, this is my chest line, also known as my armhole line. This is my waistline. As you can see, this pattern already has a 1-inch allowance. So now on my chest line, what I'm going to do is to bring my paper scissors, and then I will open it here just like this. So that's where you're going to introduce the volume you need to form your cow neck. So you just cut it to the tip. You're not going to cut completely. Then after cutting it out, I'm going to spread it by how much you want to spread. So now after spreading it like this, I'm going to bring in a fresh paper and then lay it on the paper. Okay, so this is my paper now. So what I'm going to do first is to close this dart that I have here with my masking tape. So I'm just going to try to close up this dart, and then I'll hold it with my tape. So this is the lower part now. I've closed my dart, and then I just held it with a paper so that it does not move. I just used my paper, my masking tape to secure it. So now the next thing, the one you actually have business with, is this part. That's what we're going to be spreading. Remember, it was like this earlier. So now I'm going to spread it as much as, I think I'm going to use 5 to 6 inches to spread this, depending on how deep you want your cow neckline to go. Or we can also use 7 inches. So you can see where I placed my 7 inches on the chest line before, where I slashed this. Yeah, so now you're just going to adjust this to form the 7 inches, so that it's going to be on your tape like this. So this is 7 inches. The next thing I'm going to do again is to hold this with my masking tape. So after holding it, this is what it's going to look like. Remember, this is our actual front neckline. Okay, you can cut it or you can just leave it like this. You don't actually need it. So now to connect this back to my center front, you can see all of this space that we have here. That's what is going to form your cow. So to connect this back to my center front, what I'm going to do is to pick my ruler, and then I'm just going to place it on my neck point here. Remember, this is the shoulder point, this is our neckline, and this is the neck point. So on this neck point now, I'm just going to form a straight line back to my center front. This is the center front. So now I'm just placing my ruler on my neck point now, and then I'm going to connect it back to my center front. So now this is the new shape that we have. This is going to be our neckline now. This remains the shoulder. By the time it drops, it's going to come back to its actual shape. And then this is my armhole. So this is how we're going to cut this, and then this is our side seam. So now if you want to cut your facing together with this, what you just need to do is to fold in your paper, the excess that you leave excess at this upper part. So now you're going to fold this at that point where you have, okay, I'm just going to redraw this. You're going to fold it at this point where you have this line. Okay, that's where you're going to fold it, so that you can cut it together with your main body. So now I'll just leave this up now, and then fold this allowance in on that point. So now after folding it in, you fold in the amount of facing that you want to have. You can have 5 inches. You cut it at that point, and then you fold it over like this. So now after folding it over, the next thing is for us to just go ahead and cut this shape that we have out. So I have cut it out now. You can see we have something smaller. So this XX neckline that I have, you can cut it off, or I'm just going to fold it in. So now this is the shape that we have. This is our shoulder, the armhole, and this is the side. So now if you turn it over, you will see the facing that we created. So like I said, if you want your facing this long, it's okay. But if you don't want it this long, what you just need to do on this facing part alone, from the neckline area, you just measure how long you want the facing to be. That's if you have enough fabric. If you don't have enough fabric to cut your facing together, you can just cut the lining separately. So I'm just showing us how we can do it if we want it cut together. So now I'm just going to measure around 6 inches, and then my facing is going to stop there. So now I measure 6 inches and connect it and cut off the excess that I have on that point. So after marking it, you just raise the facing, you cut the facing alone, not with your main bodies, and this is what it's going to look like. Okay, so this is the new pattern that we have. This is our facing, this is our main bodies, and this center front here have to be cut on fold. So I'll go ahead and cut this on my fabric now. So like I said, the front has to be cut on fold, so I have gone ahead to cut mine. This is what it looks like. By the time you fold it, this is what it looks like. So you will see that we have the exact same thing that we have on our pattern, just like this. And then for the back, I have cut my back as well, and then I cut a facing together with it. Remember, I have cut facing for the front. So on the facing, I just sew it. Facing is just like a small lining. Okay, so I've sewn the neckline. I'm going to notch it and turn. So this is the first side of the back, and this is the second side. So for the lower part is going to be a palazzo trouser, and I have several tutorials on that already on the channel, so I'm not going to do so much in that, but I'm just going to show us what I did. I have already cut mine on my fabric. So now what I did was just to take my waist measurement. Okay, what you need to do is to rule a line here on this side. You rule 1 inch allowance line here before you start your measurement. So here is my waist, which is going to be the starting point of the trouser, and this is my crotch. Okay, this is the crotch of my trouser. So from here to here is my crotch length. So now what I'm going to do on this part, I'm going to take my waist measurement. So my waist is 36 divided by 4 is going to give me around 9 inches. So what you want to do here, from this allowance, you measure the 9 inches just like this, and then you add 1 inch for your dart and 1 inch for your seam allowance. Okay, that's what you're going to measure on your waistline. And then here on your crotch line, your thigh measurement, that's the fullest part of your thigh. You measure around your thigh, and then you divide that measurement by 2. So assuming your thigh is around 30 inches, if you divide it by 2, you're going to have around 15 inches. So now this measurement, this time, remember when we wanted to take the waist measurement, we took it from this line. So for the thigh, you're going to take it from outside, from inside the 1 inch. So now you're going to take that measurement right there. Now to get a straight line, you measure what you have on your waistline, which is around 11 inches. So you come here and then measure the same 11 inches from your waist. Remember, this is the waist. Okay, so when you measure it like that, you go ahead and draw a straight line so that you can get your crotch curve, which is here. So to get your crotch curve, you measure what you have, the difference from here to here, you measure it and you divide that by 4. Okay, so what you measured there, you divide it by 4. Please, I have a detailed tutorial on this. I'm going to link it down. I'm just doing this so that I'll show you what I did. So I'm trying to use this ruler to get my exact angle 90, which is there. So now that measurement, that 4 measurement is divided by 4, you're going to mark it, okay, like this. Okay, so that's where it stops. Please use your accurate measurement. I'm just using something here. So now to draw the crotch curve, you're going to connect from here to this curve and then to this your thigh measurement using your curved ruler. Okay, so now I just drew the curve line, the crotch curve there. So now what you want to do now is to shape your hip. Okay, remember this is still straight. So to shape the hip, remember we started taking the waist measurements here. Now you're going to take your curved ruler and then you connect from your waist. I don't use hip measurements for my trouser. So once you get your crotch right and your waist measurement right, this will naturally form the way your hip goes from your waist to your crotch. You can see it will just form it for you naturally and it fits. So now the upper part is done. The next thing now, this is a palazzo trouser like I said, so I'm not going to measure anything. I'm just going to measure my full length, and the full length of my trouser is 45. So from the 11.5 inches crotch, I'm just going to measure 45 inches around, and then this measurement that I have, I'm just going to take it straight. So now you measure this straight down, and then here as well from your thigh you measure it straight down, and that is what you're going to do to get your full length of your trouser. So when you're done with that, that's for the front. The only modification that you need for the back is to extend this crotch line. You extend this by 2.5 inches or 3 inches depending on how big the person is, and then on this angle part here you extend this by 1.5 inches as well. Okay, so after extending this by 1.5 inches here, you're going to have extra. You extend this part by 1 inch for your bum rise. Okay, you extend this part by 1 inch for your bum rise, and that's all you need to do. So now you're going to connect from the 2.5 or 3 inches to the 1.5 that you have here, and then you connect to your bum rise, which is 1 inch. So now if you extended this by 1 inch, this is what you're going to have. If you extend this by 1 inch, remember it's no longer at the same level with your front. So now with your ruler, you're just going to connect it back to your front in a slanting form like this. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to connect like this from your new waist for the back. You slant it to your front so that you can rhyme and you'll be able to sew it back together. And then for the front as well, on this part you're going to come down by 1 inch, and then when you come down by 1 inch on the center fold there, you're going to connect it to the side just the same way like this. This gives your trouser fitting. So that's what you need to do for your trouser. I have gone to cut mine, and this is what I have for my front, and this is my back. Okay, so this is my back and this is the front. So if you look closely, you see the difference. So you can see that on this crotch area I extended it here as well. I extended it by 1.5 inches. This is the front and this is the back. So you can see the difference. This is for front, this is for back. You can see the extension here, the extension here, and the extension that I have for my bum rise on this part is going to be 2 inches now, because remember after going up here by 1 inch, I still went down for the front to shape the front as well. That's why you have 2 inches there. So after doing this now, I went ahead to join my crotch for both front and back, and then I held my dart. Remember I added 1 inch for the dart, so you're going to hold your dart on that point, and this is what the front of the trouser looks like. So now to join this, I'm going to sew the half length of the front to the trouser just like this. I'll go ahead and join them together, and then for the back as well, I'm going to join it on the half length. So I'm going to join the back half length to the trouser as well. So you can see that I've opened my crotch a little bit here, because a zipper is going to come through the back so that I can wear it easily. When I was drafting my trouser, I forgot that the jumpsuit, and I'm going to be putting a zipper at the back, so I did not add zipper allowance to it. So I just added the 1/2 inch that I'm going to use to sew, and that's what I'm going to manage to sew my zipper as well. But if you are doing yours, please just extend this a little bit, and then you add your zipper allowance like this, and then you connect to your crotch. So what you want to do to get that is, you just, assuming this is your crotch line here, okay, assuming this is your crotch line for your back, so you measure the length of your zipper. So if your zipper stops here, you add your allowance for your zipper, and then you continue like this, okay, and then your crotch is just going to continue just like this, so it does not affect anything. So for me, I forgot that, so I'm going to manage this 1/2 inch for my zipper, and then I also reduced my allowance for the half length as well, because it has to match. So I'll go ahead now and join the half length to the main trouser, and then I'll fix my zipper as well and bring it back for us to join the side. Okay, so the half length is joined now. This is the front and this is the back, and for the back I have gone ahead to install my zipper. You can see I don't even have enough allowance. Please don't do yours like this. Leave proper allowance for your trouser. Okay, so I just manage the one I have, so I'll go ahead and set this part so that it doesn't come off. Remember, my allowance is not so much. So now the next thing you're going to do now is to lay the front and back on each other, and then you're going to sew the shoulder. So remember, I have facing for both front and back, so I'll just match them together like this, and then go ahead and join my shoulder for both front and back. So after joining the shoulder, the next thing is to match the side seam as well, and then you sew it by 1 inch allowance that you left on the side. Okay, so the shoulder is joined now. As you can see, the shoulder is neatly joined, And then I've gone ahead to sew the side as well as the inner part of the trouser. You can see that everything is joined now. So what we just need to do now is to turn it to the right side, and then we'll take it to the mannequin so that we can see what it looks like.